Hello everyone, in this particular video what we'll do this particular tutorial, and this is from the Microsoft official documentation on Azure stuff, and this tutorial is mainly about filtering network traffic with a network security group using the Azure portal. You can do the same thing using a CLI or PowerShell if you like. And so the main four things that we're going to do: we're going to create a network security group or NSG and create some rules, and we create a virtual network, and once that's done we'll associate the NSG with the virtual network. We deploy some virtual machine and then test the filter. Okay, so only prerequisite that you gotta have a Azure account for this. If you don't have it, please go ahead and sign up and you get $200 free for a month or so, and that should be enough to get you started. So virtual network, so here let's create a virtual network, and that's the only thing that looks like important. So here to creation of virtual network is really easy. So let's see, let's see if they're asking us to create any particular resource group. Create new. My resource group is the resource group. I may have already a name. I already have a resource group like that by that name, and let's just get rid of that one. Okay, and then we'll reuse. So to get rid of a resource group, and you just click on that one, click on the delete resource group and hit delete, and that will take care of it. Okay, and if you're not using the resource, it's a good thing to do. So let's wait a second and we'll reuse this name. Alright, I think my deletion of the resource group was successful, so let's get started with the lab. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna create a virtual network. We're gonna call it my virtual network, and we're gonna create it inside my resource group. Okay, so let's come over here, and I'm just gonna search for the virtual network, virtual networks, and it's pretty easy. So click add, and the experience should be exactly the same. Create virtual network, create new, we're gonna call it my resource group, and name is my virtual network. So my virtual network, right? That's what it said, my virtual network. And here I'm just gonna use US2 for the deployment, and next IP address 10.0.0.0.16. 10 by default it's using 10.1, so I'm gonna delete this and I'm gonna use 10.0.0.0/16. and since I have changed that one, there's no default, so I need to create at least one subnet. So just click on add subnet, and let's see, subnet is gonna be my subnet. Okay, and we're gonna use 10.0.0.0/24. so that's the subnet that I'm just click on add, so it's here now. Let's go to security. We're not doing anything. Tags, and then review and create, and hit create, and it should deploy a virtual network for us that we can use. All right, the next we are going to use an application security group. Now application security groups are a little bit different, where you can group together servers with similar type of functions. Like if you have web servers that are deployed in multiple different subnets, you can group them together within one application security groups. Okay, so we're gonna create an application security group here. Okay, let's come over here. So it looks like this one got created. Okay, that's fine, but let's go and search for application security group, and there we go, we have that blade. So let's click on add, and here we're gonna say my ASG web servers. Okay, so let's I'm gonna use the same resource group, which is my resource group, and this is the web server, same region, and complete step 3 again, specifying the following value. Okay, let's come back over here. So this is the instance detail is my ASG web server. So those tags, I don't need anything, and just create. And so we need to create another one. That's what it's telling us. Complete the step 3 again using another application security group, but this time we're gonna call it my ASC management server. So web servers and management servers, we are trying to keep them into 2 different application security group. So that is fine. So we'll come back over here, search for application security group again, do another add in here. It's gonna be inside the same my resource group, new name for the application security group, and then just review and create. So that should do it. So we are ready with our application security group. Okay, next comes the network security groups, and we're gonna call it NSG, and that's about it. So let's come back over here, search for network security group, and again you don't have to wait for the deployment to be completed. You can move on to the next step. So let's click on that one, and still gonna put in the same resource group. I'm just gonna call it my NSG, and then just review and create, and it should give me my network security group that I can use to control my traffic. All right, now next thing, associate network security group to a subnet. Okay, until you associate this NSG, the NSG is not doing anything. So we'll go to the NSG, okay, and then we will under settings we'll select the subnet, and then we'll associate button, and then we're going to associate this particular my virtual network with that network security group. So over here, so this is the network security group. The deployment looks like complete, so we can go to that resource. It should be the my NSC network security group. Under setting, here's my subnets, and you should not see anything, but I'm going to add a virtual network, and I'm going to choose the my virtual network. Then you have to choose the subnet, which subnet you want, and I have right now only one subnet, which is my subnet, and I'm going to say okay. So this subnet will be controlled by this my NSC network security group. It will determine which ports are open, which ports are closed, and how traffic can go through by different port numbers. So we got that, and we now next inbound security rule. We're gonna an inbound security rule to open up port 80 and port 443. Looks like those are the 2 ports we want to open up, and so to create a security rule that allows port 80 and 443 to my ASG web servers, because web servers need port 80 and port 83, right? So let's come back over here. We are still in NSG, so inbound security rule. So let's add an inbound security rule, source any source port range then 80 and 443. Now destination is the application security group, and which application security group? It's the ASG web servers. Sorry, source port range should be any. And all right, the source port could be anything, so it should be star. A destination port is what should be 80 or 443. I think that will do. And the protocol, we know that connection has to be TCP. Action should be allow, and let's see what kind of priority it wants us to do. So let's go back, select application security group, then my ASG web servers, and for that so we have done that. Destination port, we have done that. Destination port, okay. Protocol we have configured, and name allow web all. Let's name it that way, name allow web all. Priority, it didn't ask us to change anything, so we'll just keep 100. and complete the step 2 again using the following. So we're going to create another inbound rule, and this time we're going to allow RDP connection, and the RDP connection we will allow it to the management servers and not to the application servers. Okay, so this looks pretty good, so we're going to add, and that's gonna allow, again read it, it's allow all web traffic to port 8443 using TCP protocol from any source. Just send it to my ASG web servers application security group. Okay, let's add another one. From source, any source port destination is again application security group, and this time the management servers is where we want to send, and the port 3389. TCP is the port. I'm gonna allow priority 110 is fine. Let's see how to name this one. A name, allow RDP all. Let's get that one, put it in there, and everything looks good. Hit add, and let's make sure this one is for the web servers 8443.3389 to the management servers. Alright, so everything looks good so far, and next job is to create some virtual machine where we will see those rules, they are in action. Okay, so pretty much what we are doing, we are deploying a Windows Server 2016. Okay, so let's copy this, and looks like we're gonna create two different virtual machines. So the first one is going to be my virtual machine webs. Okay, so that makes sense. We're going to deploy one web server and another management server. Okay, so let's go back over here, and what we want to do. All right, so far things are going well. So now we're getting ready to deploy the machine. So we'll just do a search for virtual machines in here, and we know that we gotta deploy one in our web server network subnet, and another to our management server. So let's start with one of them, and let's choose our resource group, and in this resource group virtual machine name we have already copied, VM web, so that's the web server. It's gonna be the East US 2, and we are deploying a Windows 2019 data center, so choose that one. Username, I'm gonna use student, and a secret password. Okay, and then again, okay, so we got that. Inbound port 3389, we want actually, you know what, we don't even need anything because this is already been controlled by the network security group. So this is if you use this, it's going to create another NSG, and it's going to apply to your network interface card itself and not on the subnet. So let's see what they're suggesting here. East US username, password is all good, and then size of the, so yeah, I'm just not gonna select it here. I'm gonna select none. Let's think about this one. It's none, and then let's go to the disk. We don't need to change anything, just go with the default. Let's come to the networking here. Network interface card, network security group, I'm gonna say no because I'm gonna use something from here. So virtual network, that is the virtual network subnet. No, that's not the network we want. Okay, we are gonna use it, my virtual network, that is a network we want to use. And inside this, why do I not see the subnet? Let's go back to our resource group. So we choose a wrong resource group, so let's go to my resource group, that's the right resource group. Rest is good, disk is good. Again, come back to networking. So we are not choosing anything for the network interface card because we're going to control the traffic to the subnet using the NSG. So here my virtual network subnet is still, my subnet is still not showing two subnets. So let's see, did we not create two subnet? Unique security group, none. Let's make sure that we didn't create two different subnets. So let's go up to the very top and make sure virtual network we created, we remember for my virtual network, and there is only one subnet. Alright, that's fine. There is only one subnet that we have created, and we didn't create two different subnets. In theory, I would like to use two different subnets and deploy these two machines in two different subnets altogether, just to avoid every single confusion. But in this case, looks like I got only one subnet. Right, I'm happy with it. It's not a problem. Let's look at subnets. Okay, so let's just deploy it. It's fine. So that's the only subnet I have, and I'm gonna deploy this management. I'm not changing anything. Then diagnostic account, there's nothing, so I'm just gonna turn it off, so I don't need anything here. Let's advance, nothing, tags, nothing, review and create. So that's gonna review the validation, so it's validated, so I can deploy this. So what is going to happen with both of the virtual machine, we're going to deploy to the same network, but we're going to associate them with different application security group. That's how it's going to work. All right, so that's also makes sense. And if I don't know if I can draw something here to tell you guys how it's all gonna work. Let's see if I have a paint in here of some kind, my paint. Okay, so let's open it while the deployment is going on. Let's see if I can draw something. All right, so ignore for now. Let's see if it's giving me something where I can draw something real quick. So what we have done, what is that? That's not what we want. Let's see this. No, this is not working. Let's pause. All right, I got the paint. So what is gonna happen? You have let's get the paint again. Yeah, so what we have done, we have created a VNET. Okay, so that is the VNET that we have created very outside. Within the VNET we have created one virtual network, one subnet. Okay, that's the subnet, and in this subnet we are now deploying two virtual machine. One, we have started the deployment and we're going to call it the web server, and another one we're going to call it a management server, MGT, management web server. Now usually in reality you should be creating them in two different subnets and use application security group or ASG to control the traffic. But right now we have two different ASGs. We're gonna associate one subnet to one ASG and this is to another ASG. Okay, ASG, and we have something called the NSG, network security group, and we are gonna apply the network security group rule to this big subnet. Okay, so that is how we're gonna control the traffic, and this is we are actually gonna apply to the subnet and how the traffic is flowing from this subnet to this application security group is what we are going to configure. So let's make sure it's still recording. That's good. So let's come back over here. So the first VM deployment is done. So what we need to do, we need to create another, look at that. So create another VM. So let's click on that one, and it should start the deployment of the next virtual machine. And I'm going to select the same my resource group, and let's get the name of the next VM, create the second VM, and we're going to call it the my VM web. Make sure no. Next one is the my VM management. I think we have already created that name, so it's management VM. Everything else, this is Ubuntu. I don't want Ubuntu, I want Windows 2019, and again I use a student as my username and my secret password. Alright, so once I have that, again I don't need any inbound rules. Let's go to disk. I don't need any disk. Over here, virtual network is good. We are still deploying in the same subnet, and again, in a real world, you'll be deploying it in two different subnets. Alright, public IP is good, and NIC we don't need any, so it's none. That looks good. Management, come back. I'm going to turn off the boot diagnostics, so I don't need any storage account to store those logs. Advanced, don't need anything. Tags, don't need anything. Now let's do our validation, and let's click on create. So that will give us our virtual machine. So let's change the color. So let's see what, so this is, we have already created. This one is for the web. So let's do our web. I don't know how to draw it very well, but that's the web. So this is the management VM. So this is the VM2, this is VM1 that we have done. That's been done. So this is done, this is done, this is done. Creation of the subnet. So subnet creation was also done. ASGs we have created already, so this is done, this is also done. What we have not done is associating these virtual machines to these ASGs. Okay, so in NSG creation was also done, and we have already defined rules how the traffic should be flowing through this NSG when somebody is trying to connect to the web server or the management server. Okay, so the only thing that is missing right now is the association of the virtual machines with the ASGs. So that's what we're gonna do next, most likely. Okay, so let's come back. So this is also looks like done. So let's go to the resource if you like. So that's the VM management VM. So let's go to the resource group and make sure our both of our virtual machines are doing well. So looks like I have two virtual machines, one VM web, one VM management. So that all looks very good. So the next thing is the traffic filter. So here the another thing that we have not done is associate the network interfaces to the ASG. So what you need to do next, as I said, so you go back and look for your application security groups and application management server. If you go there and let's see if I have, do I have an association here? I don't see association here. Application security, I don't see. We may have to do it from another place. So we need to go to the NIC, and from the NIC we have to do that. So let's go back over here, go to the virtual machines, go to the management and go to the network interface card. Networking, once you go, here is a network interface card, and here it a little bit, you know, in a place that you don't immediately think about it, so kind of keep that in mind. So the application security group is over here, you just have to click on it and then configure the application security group. And here this is a management server, so definitely we're going to choose the management server as our associated networking associated group. Okay, so then as soon as it's done, we'll go and do the same thing with the other server. So this is now done. So this machine is now associated with this particular server. So let's go to the web, stick to the networking, application security group, configure, and this one I'm going to choose the web server as the associated application security group with this particular virtual machine. So I think now if you go back to the diagram, and I said that that was the last thing, so we have completed our security requirements or network access to this whole scenario that we have now. It's a really bad diagram, but I hope that you kind of understand what we are trying to do here. So let's go back over here, and so what, now we are ready to test the traffic filters. Okay, so now we can connect to the first virtual machine, and once we go to the virtual machine, you may receive a certificate warning. So virtual machine, so management virtual machine is where they're asking us to go. So There are multiple ways to do it. I'm just going to use my RDP client from Ubuntu machine. It's called the Remania. So management server is where we want to go. So I'm going to copy the public IP address. So you can get it from here, or you can go to the overview. It should be the same IP, so you can copy from there as well. And I'm just going to put it here, hit enter. It should ask me for the certificate validation, and then I'm going to provide my username and password. And connect. So this virtual machine, we have enabled the access through 3389 port. Okay, if I try to do that to the other web server, I should not be able to do that because I do not have, we did not enable RDP access to the other virtual machine. Now to prove that, let's go back to the resource group and get the IP address of the other virtual machine, which is the web server. So in this virtual machine, if I copy this IP address, come back over here, come back to my Remnia, and from here I'm gonna say give me a new window and paste the other virtual machine. If you try to connect to that one, it will not even give you the certificate thing because we have not opened that port through our network security group, and that's an excellent feature. So from outside, this is from my Ubuntu machine, we are trying to connect to that particular machine, which is the web server. I cannot even connect, but this one, which we call the management server, we can. Now from this to this, we should be able to connect when we are inside the same subnet or same virtual network. So let's see what else it's asking us to do. So we are inside the virtual machine now. Now connect to the web VM by entering the following, and then what they're saying, once you're inside this management virtual machine, from the virtual machine we can connect using this command. So let's go back over here, go to our Remnia. Where is it? Here is it. And then expand this window. It probably doesn't take let's just get our PowerShell, and PowerShell, I don't think I can, oh, I could paste. Okay, MS. So if I click on and hit enter, let's see. So now this is opening an RDP connection from inside this machine. So inside my management server, it's trying to connect to the web server, and let's see if we can connect it. We said student, and again our password, and hit enter, and now look at that, we are getting the certificate error. I say certificate, look at the certificate, let's trust the certificate, and look at that, now we are inside the my VM web. So what we just proved to you, that using our network security group, we can get from my machine, which is a publicly available, anybody, just you can do the same thing. You can connect to my management network, but you cannot directly RDP to my web server. Now once we are in the web server, let's try to install the IIS. Okay, to do that you just need to run this particular command. So let's go back and let's see, this is my web. So let's see if I can paste it, the command over here. I'm just gonna open up another PowerShell, and there is the PowerShell. Let's see, I can, wonderful, and hit enter. So what this is gonna do, it's install Windows feature. Okay, if you look at the command, name web server, so it's installing the web server feature within my Windows 2019 server, and it's going to include the management tools. Okay, so what's really going to do, if we now going to go to the server, it will start serving a web page on port 80, right? So that's what, and that web page should be available from my laptop, right? Because I have opened the port 80 to web server, but not on the management server. So let's get it done in just a couple minutes. It will be done. and then if I go to this particular IP, public IP 52.251.39.67, I should be able to see our default port. So let's come back over here, copy that IP, come over here and paste the IP over here, and then hit enter. Oh my god, look at that. So this is what we have just installed. What do you think is going to happen if I try to do the same thing on the other one? There's nothing gonna be show up, right? So so what you have done, so this is the end of the lab, pretty much how to filter your network traffic. So again, let's come back to our paint. Maybe just refresh it one more time, really continue, discard. So again, so what we did, we created a VNET. Okay, in this VNET, in this VNET we created a subnet. Okay, in this subnet we created ASG, so 2 ASG, ASG1, ASG2, then we created VM1 and VM2. Okay, 2 VM, one for server, one for management. For server we opened up port 80. For server, for management we opened up port 3389. Okay, and all of that we control that using our ASG. Actually we opened 40 and 443 here for HTTPS traffic as well, and we created the NSG. Okay, the NSG is actually NSG rule, to and from. It's based on your traffic connecting from the internet. Okay, it's determining if it's going to try to go to this particular network, then it will have to go through this association and you will be able to get to the web page. The other one, you won't be able to get to the web page, but you will have to go to, you can log into our management server. From inside the management server, since they're in the same network, you can directly RDP to that one. Okay, you can, RDP is allowed inside once you're inside the same subnet, but RDP from outside is to this machine is not allowed, right? So that's how you can you can filter your traffic and make your network very secure. The other interesting feature, that we did not apply NSG at the network interface card. Okay, we didn't create NSG for the NIC, which gets created by default. We used the NSG on and applied it to the subnet, so we have a good overall, a single place where we can control all kinds of traffic to our network. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully it's clear now. Practice this lab as many times as you like until you are completely comfortable, you have good understanding of ASGs. Deploy them machines in multiple different subnets, group them together and see what happens. With that, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like the video, leave your valuable comment how to improve this series of videos. At the end, happy learning. Thank you.